It was a spontaneous happening that became one of the best remembered symbols of the 60s. This week, people who shared in the event known as Woodstock are gathering again to remember the things that brought them all together 20 years ago on a few acres of farmland in the Catskills. News 4's Rich Newberg is standing by live from the site of Woodstock 2 in Bethel, New York. Rich?
Carol, people are coming together once again. Now, over my shoulder, you can see the stage. People are gathered around the stage. Last night, that was the original anniversary date, the 15th. They had about 5,000 people here. Right now, about 2,500. But more people are expected tonight. Though the numbers aren't the same, the mood of Woodstock prevails. A peaceful mood.
$2.
You can buy colorful reminders of the 60s if you need a little help getting into the mood, but there is a sense of history being made here.
And I'm glad I came here to kind of see what the people were doing about peace then. You know, having a father that was in the Army for 23 years, you kind of want to get a little bit of the other side.
Clap your hands, clap your hands.
Most agree that Woodstock was a once-in-a-lifetime happening. Close to 500,000 people on the rolling countryside, caring and sharing together.
A lot of freaks.
Dave Miller of East Aurora remembers Woodstock.
I'm about right in here.
It's like a tremor that's still shuddering through. I'm glad there's no condos here, and this is great.
Wavy Gravy, who did some announcing at Woodstock, also remembers.
What we have in mind is breakfast in bed for 400,000.
When we introduced hippies to granola, they'd never seen it before. This stuff looks like gravel. I said, don't worry, you're not what you eat, you are what you don't poop.
They are now building the stage at the Imperial Resort Hotel, about 7 miles from the original site. Tomorrow, the Woodstock reunion concert begins. Wavy Gravy, what a character. It's ironic, the first people that we ran into here were Western New Yorkers, and they made us feel right at home. They've been camped out a couple of days. A lunar eclipse tonight at 9 o'clock, and that should add to the spiritual atmosphere, shall we say, at the original site of Woodstock. Back to you in the studio.
Well, I'll tell you, Rich, everything's coming together at the same time with that lunar eclipse and Woodstock, the reunion down there.
Thousands of people have gathered on rolling farmland there to renew and relive the memories of Woodstock, born on that site exactly 20 years ago. Rich Newberg is there, too, to share the memories.
They are still building the stage for the Remember Woodstock concert, 7 miles away from the original site. But on that original site, the drama is already unfolding. Yes, there is a peaceful, easy feeling that never seems to have left this place. And people are seeking the same kind of relief from the heat as they did 20 years ago.
Would you like a piece of watermelon?
There is some evidence of drug use on the site, but nothing close to what happened here 20 years ago. This may really be a sign of the times. The acid they're talking about here is acid rain.
20 years ago, acid was a thing for people's heads. Now everybody's getting acid whether they like it or not, and it's definitely not very good for them.
Traffic has not been a problem, though at times there's been a steady flow leading to the late Max Yasker's farm.
We don't know what to anticipate. We really don't.
I think it's exciting, and we're more than happy to have all our visitors, and they've been very well behaved, and I hope they come back next year.
Folks from all over Western New York are here, like this group from East Aurora, and many were not even around 20 years ago.
I wasn't even born then. Here now, because I believe in it, I guess. You know, I don't know, everything that was represented back then, like peace, love.
By the time we got to Woodstock.
Though they will be hard-pressed to relive the happening that was Woodstock, they seem to be picking up on the good things that Woodstock symbolized. Rich Newberg, News 4 Update.
Well, two big events are commemorating the Woodstock happening, which happened 20 years ago. This week, one is a concert featuring 3 of the original Woodstock performers. The other, a spontaneous gathering of people on the site of that historic festival down in Bethel, New York in the Catskills. As News 4's Rich Newberg tells us, the gathering is feeling more and more like the original Woodstock.
The 80s are the 60s 20 years later.
The appearance of Wavy Gravy at the original Woodstock site brought the crowd alive. Wavy is the MC at tonight's hotel concert in neighboring Swan Lake.
but his heart is in this field because 20 years ago, he helped feed granola to thousands of hungry festival goers and also helped kids come down from bad drug trips.
We are looking for cash, check, money order.
Today, his beanie served as a collection box for money needed to power the amplifiers around the makeshift stage. Musicians that nobody heard of are performing here. Guitarist Patty McGorry was only 12 years old when Woodstock happened, but is he feeling a sense of history in the making 2 decades later?
Yeah, because I listened to The Who and Jimi Hendrix. I used to fall asleep with my guitar in my hands, listening to Jimi Hendrix, wake up in the middle of the night with the guitar still laying on you or on the floor or something.
A great thrill, of course, for the people on the site would be an appearance from one of the original Woodstock performers coming in for that concert 7 miles down the road at Swan Lake.
I think that the big name bands are going to come here and play for nothing.
Why do you think that?
Because where else? It's such an honor to play at Woodstock, the Fields of Thought.
Edgar Winter, who performed at Woodstock, just arrived at Swan Lake.
What's your feeling about possibly playing a number or two at the original site for the thousands that are gathered there?
I didn't know there was a possibility of doing that, but I'm ready.
The Fields of Thought are filling up, giving the folks back at the hotel in Swan Lake something to think about. Rich Newberg, News 4 at Woodstock 89.
At least there's a hotel there.
Yeah, probably didn't used to be, right?
Thousands of people are gathering at the original site of the Woodstock Festival tonight to try and recapture the spirit of the 60s or to just enjoy the beauty of the Catskill Mountains. But as Rich Newberg reports, there seems to be room for some of the causes of the 80s.
This folk musician at the original Woodstock site is not just strumming in the wind. He's drawing attention to a crusade for the homeless. He and his buddy feed hungry people out of their mobile home.
We just came from Chicago. We had 120 pounds of chicken and 120 pounds of hot dogs.
And it's 1, 2, 3. What are we fighting for? Don't ask me, I don't give a damn. The next stop is Vietnam.
The anti-war movement was in full swing during Woodstock 20 years ago. The peace movement serving as a catalyst to bring the Woodstock generation together. 20 years later, peace is still the theme here, although now the American flag is a symbol to be honored. I met one Vietnam veteran who was here 20 years ago, right after leaving the war zone.
Well, I had just gotten back from Vietnam, and some friends and I come up from Fort Belvoir, Virginia, and I didn't really know what I was in for. And so we stayed a few days and did a little mudding and had a lot of good music and good people, good vibes.
And here at Woodstock Revisited, there's a booth set up for donations to Vietnam veterans in need of help.
Somebody's got to help these guys out. I mean, there's people getting killed over there while this was going on.
So while the mood here is still light and airy, social causes have worked their way into Woodstock 89. Rich Newberg, News 4, update.
Well, coming up next, we've got a...
One more look now at what's happening down in Bethel, New York. The official, that is, Remember Woodstock concert featuring some of rock and roll's names that played that big concert 20 years ago has gone bust. Practically nobody showed up at that concert. All the action was 7 miles away at the original Woodstock site. Now, photographer Dan Somerville and I spent several days covering the anniversary celebrations of Woodstock down in Bethel, and this is the story as we saw it first in Swan Lake, the last night we were there. Though the Swan Lake concert delivered its promise of bringing Woodstock originals like John Sebastian to the Imperial Hotel, the nightly turnout of less than 300 people in a field that could hold thousands has been a financial nightmare for its promoters.
Well, the efforts were 1,000% and the turnout was about 30%.
While there were virtually no efforts to promote any sort of gathering here at the original site of the festival, every night thousands upon thousands of people turn out here. A spontaneous happening, just like Woodstock. Some of the local groups performing here may someday find a path to stardom, or at least put their names on the map, having played for the Woodstock 20th anniversary. And that suits John Sebastian, who did not come to the site, just fine.
I think that's great. I'm really glad to hear that. And I think maybe the nicest part of it may be that there'll be an opportunity for some people in their 20s to get up from in front of that crowd and play music. And an opportunity for some local musicians to play.
The thousands who gather here have once again turned this farmland in the foothills of the Catskills into a unique happening with images reminiscent of the past, including the rolling of marijuana joints, although any widespread use of drugs is not evident. What is evident is a crowd trying to recapture the spirit of the 60s.
I don't know, there's a lot of people here and we're having a lot of good times, and hey, it's just like Woodstock 20 years ago.
It's happening again. We missed it the first time. I wasn't allowed to come, and now I'm here, and it's it.
It's truly been a spiritually uplifting cultural experience. It's no lie. You know, I wasn't fortunate enough to be here 20 years ago, but I'm here today, and I'm happy as hell that I made it.
Woodstock, 1989.
Now, the promoters of the official concert in Swan Lake are out. They say $250,000, and they are now suing Sullivan County, the state health department, and possibly the state police. They say they're going to sue, saying that they imposed all the codes and rules on the concert while overlooking the regulations at the original Woodstock site 7 miles away. Mike Syka is out on the fairgrounds.